I'd like to welcome Nitin Gupta on our videocast series, and with the new normal, we are doing this on a video chat. Welcome, Nitin, to Purple Quarters podcast series.
Thanks, Rupa. I think knowing you, having this session with you, it is pleasure of mine. And you guys have been doing a great, job in this ecosystem. So thanks for inviting me. Thanks for let's having this conversation with
Very
me.
kind of you to say, yeah. But I think for most of our viewers, I'd like to introduce Nitin a little more in terms of what he's done. So I think just before we started this videocast, we were talking about how the lady luck shines on Nitin wherever he goes. And he's been one of the most favorites of the founders. Your journey, in fact, began right at the start when you looked at, even your summer internship was with the company, which is quite famous now. And then you moved on to look at, digital entertainment. From there to Flipkart to Ola now, then Food Panda, of course, because they were two different entities. That's how you guys wanted to keep it. And from there now to Milkbasket. I think what a journey. If someone were to actually see how 11 years of life could be productive, I think they can actually look at yours and be mesmerized. Yeah, Nitin. So thank you so much for being on this show. We have loads of questions to ask you in terms of tech and how your journey's been. So I'll start with the very first one. I think I'll start with what I generally spoke about, your lady luck. So you
Hmm.
moved into Milk Basket.
Yeah,
And this was the grocery side, the more in terms of looking at how milk gets delivered, or even the most essential supplies gets delivered right at your doorstep. And you and I, we remember talking when you moved from Bangalore, and then we spoke about, hey, is this segment really the right one to get into? And then we had, unfortunately, the pandemic hit the world, and these essentials actually became the talk of the town. Everybody sprang into action to get essentials delivered. So tell us how the journey has been. I mean, from this year, at least for 2020, we'd like to understand how it's been for you at Milk Basket.
sure. So Rupa, I'll start from, maybe the day zero when
Okay.
let's say we were talking, NCR, when I decided to move to NCR, and I was looking for, let's say, something which can be, let's say, so two options basically. I wanted to try something of my own, or let's say pick something which is at, let's say, scale one and take it to 100.
Hmm.
So I was just, having word with multiple investors back then and some of the founders. So one of the most common statement that they gave was that there is a company here in NCR, Milk Basket, which have made our life, super, convenient. It's like, I'm not sure if I can say that, but people said our divorces are now,
Okay. Sorry.
so basically those fights that I forgot to bring mirchi, dhania or doodh at the end of let's say end of the day when I was coming back from office to home, because Milk Basket have innovatively
Hmm.
or have solved the same problem, the most boring grocery buying problem in a different way. So that approach, the way you have approached this problem made me kind of excited about this company, number one.
Hmm.
Number two, the engagement. See, when you start from e-commerce is all about, you do maybe two transactions a month at max, and a hyper user might do, let's say, 10, 15. But in general, you have 2% conversion, and let's say two times buying on that platform. If I come to a platform which is transportation, you have, let's say, need of one or two times a day.
Correct.
But when I talk about Milk Basket, people are opening this app crazily, like five, six, seven times, because they just keep adding stuff what they want for tomorrow. So this is no checkout experience where you don't need to pay as soon as you, let's say, put something in your cart. You keep putting in the cart, morning it gets delivered without doing any checkout. So it's actually WhatsApp of groceries. That gave me that click, that if somebody is coming to your platform almost 6 to 7 times a day, you can literally sell anything to him.
Sure.
And you have not just captured one customer here, you have captured the complete household,
Sure.
all the family members. So from where, let's say, the journey started, where I had this belief that this is essential, And on top of that, the approach that has been taken by, let's say, the company and the founders is actually completely different from what others are doing.
Hmm.
And that's where, the journey started. At the start, I would be very frank that we were having multiple challenges in terms of, let's say, growth, burn, etc. So all the things which any startup would face
Correct.
when they are, into this journey, when they are at that point where they are 3 to 4 year old. But then this pandemic happened, and suddenly overnight we were seeing 10x growth in our numbers
Hmm.
and impressions to, let's say, the conversions to. And then on the other hand, the because of lockdown, all the supplies, all the things which were supposed to come from, let's say, our vendors, etc., stopped. So that's where, pandemic became a huge problem at every level,
Hmm.
getting the stuff to warehouses, to deliver it to customer, to managing the demand that you get. So that's where, pandemic created a great complex problem for us, which happily, and we basically took that as opportunity. And we are in unlock, I don't know, 3.0 or 4.0, but I would say we have successfully being able to execute and successfully be able to ensure that the customer experience that we stand for, we
Sure.
have been able to deliver same in the pandemic as well. Yeah.
Right. So when you mentioned, it's quite interesting when you say that during the pandemic, it was also about getting the supplies to your warehouse, and you identified that as an opportunity. Would you be able to deep dive and tell us, have you developed a new feature? Is there going to be something else in the background that's in the working so that you don't get impacted if something of this sort happens again?
Correct. So multiple things, I think. So pandemic times were, the way I run my team is every one of them is more like a co-founder. So
Mm.
everyone is actually taking things to the level where they are identifying problems and they are solving it. So pandemic, every day, everyone was kind of identifying something which can help, business solve some problem.
Mm.
So the core problem, which is where, let's say, the story started, that whatever procurement we have done is close to 7 to 10 days, because that's the model of Milkbasket. Now what will happen after 7 days? And now people are hoarding.
Right.
So we actually came up with an algorithm which said that, how do we stop hoarding? We want to serve more and more customers. We want to make sure that you have your essentials, but at the same time, the others should also be able to, get the essentials delivered to them. So the number one thing was, how do we stop hoarding on our platform? Because we are daily delivery business. We are not saying that the next slot will be after 3 weeks or
Mm.
after 2 months. So you place an order today, tomorrow it will come to you for sure. There is no problem of slotting, etc. So algorithm which ensure that the inventory that we have, how do we make sure that we responsibly take care of the demand that is coming from our customers, and also be able to give the confidence back to customer that you don't need to be, let's say, holding any of these essential items. So
Sure.
that's where journey started. That is, whatever supply do you that you have.
Mm.
And then, back to the vendors. So the for vendors also, we created algorithms which made sure that you don't need to supply us, anything that you have. Make sure you prioritize these, because their logistics were also limited. They were not having 10 trucks available at their dock stations, or the people or the manpower. Although they had this, that what is getting sold, what is not. But on top of that, we told them that our customers wants to buy these. So prioritize these over other things. So it's
Sure.
all about, you always have 10 problems, but what three do you want to pick? Where do you want to pick more energy of yours? So that basic fundamental or first principle thinking applies everywhere. So even in this case, when we were talking to our vendors, the
Mhm.
supplies were becoming a problem. We applied the same fundamental. We said, let's work with whatever constraints we have. Let's work with whatever limited manpower we have, but at the same time, let's not impact any of the customer experience. So
Sure.
that's how we have been able to create a playbook, I would say. Most of it is, you can say, the kind of automated or technology is able to take over that. And otherwise also, it is completely a playbook which ensures that wherever or whenever you have such let's say situation, you don't need to start from zero. You already have something which will kick in and which will take care of, or which will not let customer experience be impacted.
Oh, this is fantastic. In fact, when I try and visualize this, I think this is excellent for the customer who looks at it differently, and even the supplier is also happy, right?
Yeah,
We've actually making sure that both ends of the demand supplies happens at with technology, of course, it happens at a better pace. So, Nitin, does this actually impact how data is going to be looked at? Because I was just thinking before pandemic and post what we're going through, has that changed at all? And
a lot. I
okay.
think a lot. I'll tell you what happened in the first 3 weeks of lockdown.
Hmm.
Everyone was buying atta, dal, chawal, and
Okay.
let's say basic food, etc.
Mm.
First 3 or 4 weeks full of these SKUs only.
Mm.
Dal, atta, chawal, the basic necessities. Then people said it's been 4 weeks. Let's explore new things. They started buying. This hoarding was almost done.
Okay.
Now they realize that these things are going to be supplied.
Mm.
These things will not have a problem even in future.
Mm.
They moved to the baking section,
Okay.
and pizzas and cakes. Trust me, the 80% of our sales moved to that section, where
Okay.
atta dal chawal came down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And the things which were, let's say, more of, you can say, aspirational, or people were trying to, let's say, make sweets at home, make chocolates at home, make breads at home. So those things spiked significantly, and that data told us, because in no time our margins shifted significantly.
Mm.
It in the positive direction. It moved almost 30 to 40%, and we were like, what happened? The category mix changed completely. So earlier people were buying just essentials.
Mm.
Now they are buying something which has 40 to 50% margin.
Mm.
Those categories spiked significantly, and now the vendors who were supplying those categories were under stress,
Sure.
that we fulfill this much, because
Mm.
we never anticipated that essentials, people will not have fear of essential. Post, let's say, they get this comfort that online and offline in combination is able to make sure that essential will not be a problem, at least for, let's say, our country. So that fear is gone. Then people shifted to this, and when unlock started, then it's more like demonetization.
Mm.
When it happened, all the online transactions started happening at a different pace. Then it came down, but it did not come down to the original one. So the same happened when unlock 3 or 4 happened. It came down, the online buying. It did not stay to the level it was during pandemic, but
Sure.
it has not come down to the levels it was earlier. So this has educated customers to do online buying.
Mm.
Even though for the weekend outing, people have started going out, because literally human need to go out, and going to other places versus grocery buying. I think they are opting for grocery buying once in a month, or etc. But effectively, data told us that the category mix changed significantly after every 3 to 4 weeks. People
Mm.
were changing what they really want to buy and cook. And trust me, on the cleaning side, it is actually very, very interesting.
Okay.
Earlier, what the type of things they were buying for the cleaning,
Mm.
like as simple as in Hindi, if I may, jhadu pochas, the quality, the price point, versus when they were doing on their own, the quality and the price point that they were buying for. Yeah, so we have never sold, let's say, 2,000 rupees worth a cleaning kit earlier at
Sure.
this scale. And
Right.
now everyone was buying a 2,000 rupees plus cleaning kit for their home, because they were doing themselves. No help was there to take care of that. So those were the changes which we understood from data, that this is how people are changing their behavior over the, let's say, the way unlock is playing. And there were many categories which have shown significantly change in the behavior of a customer.
Sure. Sure. So this data is pretty skewed, right? If you look at it, that it's gone through so many changes. So how is your data sciences team going to adopt to then, let's say 2 years down the line? Are you guys visualizing that already?
Already, yeah. So in fact, pre-pandemic also, the data science team was working on how do I create a journey for my customer Because let me just step back. Every customer of ours, actually, he spent at least 10 to 20,000 on grocery buying.
Hmm.
Now, how much share do we have from, that 10 to 20,000 rupees?
Hmm.
How do I move or educate my customers to be able to move that wallet capture number? So we
Hmm.
already were working on this piece, and there were hypotheses we had because we did not have this much data. What pandemic has given us earlier, we had limited set of data, which gives us limited set of insights. So we were moving fast, but still slowly. If
Hmm.
I compare it with how we are moving now, then we got this data where we understood that this family, the consumption of this family per month looks like this.
Hmm.
Now the buying behavior of this family looks like this. Now how can we help this family to get rid of that boring grocery buying experience? So
Hmm.
that's where our data team has started working in identifying that if somebody is spending, let's say, 1,000 rupee on my platform, how can I help that customer realize that if I spend 5,000 on this platform, how is value created for me? So
Hmm.
that is where we are going towards, that there is category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. All four are consumed by you. We very well know that. And there is a value that if you spend on this platform, it's not just that you get the convenience, you keep yourself safe from, let's say, going out for just grocery, because that is not something which is really, really important to go out for. So those are the models which are now giving us very, very, let's say, I would say, uh, direct results, and telling us that this customer should be, let's say, buying these categories on our platform. And that nudge, that education of customers is actually working well for us. We have almost, doubled the spend of a customer even after unlocks. So that model that we have created. So our app is completely segmented, by the way. The app that you see the homepage versus I would be completely different.
Hmm.
So that depends on what you buy on the platform, or what else do we know, let's say, about you, where all we can help you in making your grocery buying experience better and better. So that's where the data of pandemic became almost like 10x of what we already had. And you can imagine the accuracy of the results that we would generate if we have 10x more data. How good that can be for the customer, the experience that we can deliver to them.
Sure. No, but how, on the other side, if you look at pandemics, also given a lot of awareness to normal kirana store guys also to actually look at digitization,
Yeah,
isn't it? Looking at how can they get online,
yeah.
and I'm sure we've all heard of the biggies wanting to enter the segment as well, and they've already entered the segment. I should put it that way. And there are multiple other verticals which never thought of essentials have also moved into the segment. How does this all work for Milkbasket? In when you look at so many people entering, it's just crowding the market, so customers and Indian customers do get tend to get confused and lured as well, right? So what is it that Milk Basket is planning at this point of time?
Cool. So I think one of a good friend of mine, we were having a conversation long back. I think it was 4 5 years back, when I asked him, yeah, too much competition is coming in, let's say, each sector. How will it play out? Who will win, etc., etc. He said simple thing: when competition comes, the overall sector actually grows. So it is needed. As of today, if I talk about online grocery, it's very, very small in India. It needed this push where multiple player comes, multiple $1 billion comes, educate customer, take them to next level. That is what Flipkart did in e-commerce. He actually did market development, and post that Amazon came, and then he need not, let's say, do all that effort, and he started enjoying the benefits. So the where we are today is, there is a lot of education needed in online grocery buying. And I think this is the best thing, that these many players are coming into it. They will educate customers, they will put a lot of money in the market, which will help the best product win. In the end, who wins is who has the best experience and the best product, because you cannot mess up with, let's say, the morning breakfast of someone. If
Correct.
you've not delivered what, let's say, that person has asked you to, then you are screwed. Then literally you cannot win over that customer, you cannot win his loyalty. So
Sure.
in the end, the one who is going to have the best experience is going to win. When it comes back to Milkbasket, as I said, we in my conversation also, you must be sensing that I talk lot and lot more about customer experience. I think the experience is the key, and that is where we have, in fact, in last 3 months, we have started, internal project
Hmm.
calling it back to basics. So you always, have to do such things where, you have grown. But at the day zero, you might not have, let's say, wanted even a one single customer having some issue in your service. At scale, you might be comfortable with, let's say, 0.1%. But why are you comfortable with even 0.1%? So
Hmm.
let's go back to our basics. Let's fix that 0.1% also. So you go up, you fix your problems, and then you decide the next step. So for Milkbasket, the core is customer experience. Let all of them come into the market. We always believe that whoever is able to deliver the best experience, whoever has the understanding of the need of the customer and able to create product out of it, is the one who is going to take the larger, let's say, uh, share in the pie.
Sure. I think if you were to look at this entire journey of yours, I'll start from Flipkart. Yeah. So when you look at your Flipkart journey, and that was the right time when Flipkart was in the ripe of it growing, and there was challenges of scale. There was a sudden, movement of customers. That's when you were at Flipkart. Then let's actually fast forward, go into Ola. When you moved into Ola, it was a similar situation, right? Ola was still growing, and then suddenly there was a boom, and suddenly you guys grew at a really large pace. This is your third time where you're, going through a same, I wouldn't say same, but similar kind of an journey. How does it feel for you, Nitin? Is it more like deja vu for you, or is it, are you feeling, oh, this one is better than the previous one? What's your thought on, because scale is a constant technology, feature where everyone struggles,
Yeah.
and you've luckily been in all three companies at the same time. Yeah. So why don't you share your inputs on how you manage that?
Yeah, sure. So, my journey from Flipkart to Ola to Milkbasket, the best part is, as I said, the customer frequency.
Hmm.
So, Flipkart, I was able to witness that there is scale. Let's say there is huge number of customers. In the end, they are putting, let's say, 2 times or transacting 2 to 10 times a month. Then Ola, which is much higher than that, and then grocery, which is much, much higher than that.
Sure.
So that's where, for me, the difference in the equation, all of them achieved scale. But in Milkbasket, the definition of scale is completely different. Because here, one customer means that you are actually having 100x traffic from him compared to any other organization. So, coming back to the scalability, for a technology person, I think this is something what he always, let's say, wait for. And I've been fortunate that the places where I have gone, I've been able to get this opportunity to handle that scale, and which is what have made me learn or become whatever I am today. I'm not just taking one company from 1 to 100, but I like to, let's say, help few other in the ecosystem wherever they can speed up their journey by, let's say, few months or few years, just by sharing some of the things that I've learned throughout these, let's say, experiences. But coming back to the scale, how do I read scale, how do I act when such thing comes? So maybe in Flipkart, the approach was that let's understand what we need to build, let's take time. But
Hmm.
then scale came, and now you don't have time. So basically what you did was, let's figure out what best can be done to take care of customer experiences as of today, and then parallelly we build for something tomorrow.
Right.
So that was the setup, which, let's say, I was quite junior in Flipkart. So I was able to learn that from Flipkart, that how do you balance your short term versus your long term. And that journey, or that learning, I would say, helped me in rest of my journey. When I moved to Ola, I understood that how engineering team can also create platforms which helps business to attain that scale. So which is where a marketplace platform came into picture, where suddenly you can go 10x in no time. So effectively you are growing, but at the same time you have applied the same, let's say, first principle approach, where you said that a good number of people are invested in short term, let's say, stability of the company. But at the same time, you have put up, let's say, a team who is going to work on the long term initiative of yours, which will enable you to maybe scale in the next quarter or next, let's say, set of years. At the same time, in Ola, the other thing was, the best part of Ola was that, you had a much bigger competition, bigger in the terms that he had presence in multiple, let's say, geographies. And if you look at the valuation, etc., also, they were at that time much bigger.
Mm.
So, how do you compete with them? You literally have to push yourself to think of 10 things. Maybe out of 10 only 3 or 4 will work. And now it comes to how do you execute all 10 and execute all 10 for scale. So that becomes, the second level of complexity. So Flipkart, then the second level of complexity, where you are doing not just one, but 10 things. And within 10, you are doing, let's say, you are ensuring that all these 10 can go to scale.
Mm.
There, technology again becomes the core of it. That at technology, do you have enough pieces created which you can use when you are executing these 10? So every quarter, you should invest in technology so that you have something ready for the next quarter. When you are thinking of those 10 things, you have 60% of the work done in the previous quarter, which you can leverage in the next quarter. In Milkbasket, these learnings, with all these learnings, what we have been able to ensure is that we are almost a quarter ahead. So business is able to leverage what we have built in past quarter.
Mm.
At scale, they are able to leverage what is already built, because then you have given enough thought, you have actually built it end to end, which helps your customer have the complete experience. Then having a bit of it, which is, and the rest of it coming, let's say, next quarter or next month, rather build it perfectly, build it right, and then use it, full throttle. So
Sure.
that's how, scale of technology and product goes hand in hand. Scaling technology alone will not help you, because if your product is not robust, if your product is not something which is able to give you enough business, then the pressure comes back to everyone else. So product and technology need to create scalable products which can be used by your business and which can be used by your customers at the same time. So scalability applies to both. So from pure short term, long term, let's say in Flipkart, to a combination of 10, to a combination where it says it's not just technology, it's technology and product enabling business. And how do you make sure that technology is ahead in terms of what your business needs? So you need to take the first seat. So like you have CEO, but you need to be co-CEO of the company.
Sure.
That's how you have to run the technology.
Sure. In fact, you stole the thunder. That was my next question on saying that you're donning both the hats of being looking at engineering and product function, and it worked very differently in the other orgs that you worked, because there were separate organizations which were running this, right? So I think you very rightly put there, and there's a lot of business acumen I can see, Nitin, from the last time that we spoke in terms of how you're visualizing the whole piece. Obviously, because I think you're running both these functions together and looking at the end result, right? Looking what does the customer really want. So on that thought, there are most of these companies, which is the larger ones. I'll like to name one like Amazon in the US, where they already predict saying that, hey, this is the essential that the customer is going to run out of. So why don't I actually supply them beforehand? So is there something of that sort which we can expect from you guys in India?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best part is 80% of our customers have already put things on recurring or subscription. So some of these things are where they have realized that they have a need, that milk should come every day. And
Mm.
some of the things where we suggested them, that we have realized that the people nearby you actually ask for coconut water every weekend. And
Mm.
these were some of the things which is not just about you, but your network also has a lot of data which can help in making your grocery buying better.
Mm.
So we have already started on that, and I strongly believe that there is a lot to be done there, where our vision is to literally, help you do a touchless grocery buying. Like you don't need to pick your phone for your grocery buying. We know
Right.
what you need tomorrow, and it will come at 7 o'clock before you wake up.
Oh, that'll be brilliant.
Like, we very well know that nobody enjoys grocery buying and nobody has mastered it. Like Who
Correct.
knows how much vitamin C do I need?
True.
And for how much, let's say magnesium and zinc combination I need for my kid.
Right.
But we can literally, so grocery and health, they go hand in hand.
Hmm.
If I leave it to any individual, then it will not be standardized. But I can help a lot through data, through let's say understanding that what kind of setup you live in, what kind of let's say climate you live in. Basis that we can actually tell you what is that we want you to have maybe for tomorrow.
Sure.
So this is a strong suggestion or let's say recommendation engine that we are trying to build. It'll take some time for sure because this is something which has a let's say a lot of complexity and a need of lot of data around it. And the best part is our customers are like extremely loyal to us and they believe that whatever initiative we take, they participate in that. So
Hmm.
that's the power that I would like to leverage, that I take my customers together and identify problem of theirs with them and then solve it. So recommendation, I think one of the biggest I would say the initiatives of data science, which is where a boring grocery buying converts into touchless no buying at all. You
Sure.
just keep your card attached to the Milkbasket wallet and everything else will be taken care.
Wow, this sounds really exciting. The other question that I had is there are new latest technologies which are spoken about, right? Where you don't need to have human interference as well while delivery of products.
Yeah.
I know it's still a regulatory thing in India, but do you see these to get developed given the kind of situation that we're all in? Do you see that it's going to happen in some
Yeah.
time?
Again, I'll step back. How Milkbasket started. So
Hmm.
2015-16 itself, they decided we'll do a contactless delivery. Now everybody is talking about that, but from day zero, Milkbasket is contactless delivery. They do not ring your bell or knock or do anything.
Oh,
Your stuff is packed properly, and then placed outside your door and left. That's it. Nobody disturbs you. Nobody knocks your door. Nobody asks you to, pick your phone, anything. So this is from day zero.
hmm.
Now in pandemic, everyone is doing contactless delivery. We want to take it to next level where we can even become a let's say a delivery platform because we are anyways going to every house almost every day. So
Correct.
there's a potential that if we have that network already established and if we are going to your house almost every day, then we can very well be become let's say a delivery partner for anyone.
Hmm.
But that's in the longer term. We'll see if that is viable or not. But effectively, we reach to our customer almost every day, whether he buys from us or from anywhere else. There is potential
Sure.
where we can become a delivery partner for anyone in the marketplace.
Right. Right.
you know that's how the contactless delivery started on day zero, and now it's our strength, as simple as that, which is what helped in pandemic to sustain the same experience that we have been giving while others started building it, then delivering it. So yes, contactless delivery is going to be a reality even in future, and the comfort, the convenience people have realized because of this contactless delivery, no calls, nothing. So this is going to be a reality for future also.
Excellent. This is amazing. So actually, moving away from Milkbasket, now
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the other side of Nitin, right? Where you are an investor yourself and you look at companies and you see which ones to actually go in for an angel investment. So how being on this side of the table, you're very clear. So this is the product, Milkbasket hai, ye karna hai, ye technology karna hai. This is the product features I want to build. But when you're on the other side of the table, when you have to evaluate,
Yeah.
could you tell us how do you pick companies? Because I'm sure you do give people run on the mill, right? In terms of saying, hey, technology dikhao. So
Now I think it's combination of key three things that I look for.
mhm,
The number one comes to the problem and the sector, that what problem you are trying to solve and what is this sector. Does this problem have, let's say, scalability, enough scalability or not? Let's say if we are into, for example, into education tech, then what kind of, let's say, segment that you are targeting. And if let's say plan A doesn't work, or the problem number one doesn't pick, is there any scope for, let's say, expanding yourself to something else within this sector? Because that's reality. Things might work, might not work. You have a strong hunch that this would work, but there should always be, let's say, a sector understanding that this sector have more number of problems where our solution can scale in future. So that's primary, which is number one, understanding of the problem in sector. Number two comes to the founding team, which is really, really important. That, are you going to hire founders, or do you have founders? So that differentiate a lot, because working like an employee or working like a founder is totally different.
Mm.
When the, let's say, the time is against you, at that time you need more and more people who believe that this is their business, to be able to create a path out of it. And the number two within founding team is the belief that you have within this idea. So how do you judge that belief is really difficult, but it comes with, let's say, number of conversations. That, what if this happens, what if that happens. So it's like, more or less towards end, you try to figure out that this founder is there for long term, or is he, trying to create some value but for short term. So I invest in something which is long term, because short term you have even lesser probability for a success. For something long term you have more and more. Number three is the, which is very, very important again, approach. So for sure this problem is going to be solved by 10 other people as well.
Right.
Across the world people would be solving the same problem in different manner and approaches. So are you, what approach you have taken, is that approach different from others? If not, then what is the differentiator that you have? Is it that you can do it in no time, or you have access to money? There has to be something different in your approach. It can be as simple as the people that you have, it can be money, or it can be the actual solution. So the approach becomes very, very important, that how are you trying to solve that problem. So
Mm.
these are the three, I think more or less it covers whether I'm interested in moving forward with that, let's say, individual company, or do I take a pause and say that these are the things where I'm not, let's say, okay with or comfortable.
And how do people approach you? Because at the end of the day, how does one know? Let's say somebody's watching this podcast and they they think they meet all these three criteria that you're talking about, right? So how do they get in touch with you?
So we are in a world where everyone is literally connected. Maybe not first degree, but second degree or third degree.
Sure.
So I get, multiple invites through the, let's say, angel investor community, where, in the end, all of us are connected. Like, whoever we name through first degree, second degree, or worst third degree. So by third degree, I'm very sure you will be connected to Elon Musk also.
Mm.
So it's that, the social network, the technology, the level of connectivity that it has built. Through 3 degree you will be able to connect to almost everyone, across the globe. So I think coming back to, from philosophy to coming back to the real, one is, there are platforms where a lot of angel investment happens through, let's say, LV or angel. So these are the two where, I'm quite active. Number two is on LinkedIn. Also, I get number of messages from, let's say, upcoming entrepreneurs, or let's say someone who is trying to do something differently, even if he wants to just brainstorm, or let's say if he has something ready and looking for fundraise, seed, or let's say pre-series A or series A. So these are the key, let's say, places. Then I have also been partnered in some of the LLPs. So these are some of the places, but mostly I would say the investment platforms. Number one. Number two is LinkedIn has become a professional,
Yeah.
let's say, platform for professionals, where I get good number of messages from people, and which is where I try and help them with whatever, let's say, conversation or whatever need, let's say, can be taken care of.
Sure. Sure. So this actually brings up a question in my mind. So I'm just going to throw it out there. When you spoke about you were at crossroads thinking about should I join Milkbasket or do your own gig, And then now I see that you are not averse to risk because you're putting your money elsewhere in other people's ideas, and at a stage where it takes belief to actually put in money, right? So my question to you is, why didn't you think of your gig seriously? I know the founders from Milkbasket probably going to beat me up, but yeah, I still would want to ask you that. Yeah. So.
No, I think the same conversation I had with few more people as well.
Mm.
But I somewhere had this belief that, I should be able to help more than one company, or I should be able to create more than one, let's say, organization. So that's where, I said, can I help 10 instead of building one of my own? Can I actually help build 10 companies? So that's where I decided and said that, 0 to 1 is where, let's say, there are good enough entrepreneurs. Can I take, let's say, 10 companies from 1 to 100? So which is where a lot of angel investment and advisory comes into picture. So I'm advisor to, let's say, companies as well, where I have invested also. So it's all about, building one versus building 10. So I strongly believe that I should do it differently. I should be able to help, let's say, 10 companies to go from 1 to 100, leveraging my experience in the most successful. So I've learned it from the most successful companies of India, I would say. So
Sure.
let me use that in helping 10 instead of building just one. So
Sure.
that one line, helps me keep focus and say that, this is actually better compared to, let's say, doing one of my own, where I'll take the journey from 0 to 1 and 1 to 100.
Sure, sure. So if there is a parting message you'd like to give to the viewers in terms of whether they want to join Milkbasket, or if there are engineers out there wanting to know how to get in touch with you, or people who want to invest, who need investment, need to get in touch with you. If there's a message, we'd like to hear that.
No, guys. So I think this is an ecosystem where it's effectively helping each other. So in whatever sense possible, I'm on LinkedIn, and Nitin Gupta, Milkbasket, Angel Investor, all these keywords can help you search me. So I put up my photo also, so I should not be a but effectively, I'm more than happy to help anyone. And if anybody feels that, around any advice, or let's say if they are serious about some business and looking to fundraise, or if anybody wants to really innovate in customer experience side, then more than welcome to join us in Milkbasket. We really like people who think beyond, who think that they can, take a different approach in solving the same problem of a customer. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. This ecosystem is all connected. I'll be more than happy to help you or take help of yours.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Nitin, for being on our podcast. Before we go, I would want to tell the audience that Nitin is extremely grounded as a person. I've met him since the time he was in Ola, and I see that there's been a vast difference in the way he thinks. I think the whole ecosystem of looking at a problem from a very different angle, being an investor, has added a lot to his knowledge and exposure. So definitely, anybody who wants to go work with him, I would strongly urge that you should work with him. He's got a lot of energy and helps people grow, and I've seen that happening at Ola as well. So all the very best to you, Nitin, and thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thank